The sea had always held a strange fascination for me. Growing up near the coast, I'd spent countless hours with my father fishing in calm coves and gentle, shallow waters. But this was different. This time, I had been invited to join a deep-sea fishing trip with my old friend Tom, who had recently bought a boat big enough to brave the open ocean. "Come on, Jake," he had said, grinning ear to ear. "It'll be an adventure, something you'll never forget." The plan was to go about 20 miles offshore, far enough to hook some large fish. I'd agreed to go along, feeling a mixture of excitement and unease as we cast off under a hazy dawn sky, leaving the safe familiarity of the coastline behind us. The further we went, the darker the water grew. The deep blues shifted into something almost black, a color that swallowed the sunlight whole. By the time we reached our spot, there was nothing but endless ocean in every direction, the horizon a thin, pale line between sea and sky. Tom killed the engine, and the silence settled over us like a blanket. It was unsettling, this kind of silence, the kind that felt expectant. "This is it, man." Tom's voice broke the quiet. He threw out a line, and I followed suit, letting my hook sink into the depths. For the first hour, nothing happened. I was beginning to feel a bit disappointed, watching the gentle roll of the waves, lulled by the repetitive sounds of the ocean. But then, the line in my hands gave a sudden, violent tug. Whoa! I tightened my grip, feeling the powerful pull from below. This was unlike any fish I'd ever hooked. It felt massive, something far stronger than what I had expected. Tom was grinning like a madman. "Reel it in, you've got a big one." I struggled. Every pull of the line met with resistance from the depths. It felt like I was dragging something immense from a place where it did not want to leave. Finally, with one last heave, I caught a glimpse of it breaking the surface. At first, I thought it was a large fish, some sort of deep-sea catch. But as it came closer, I realized that it was something else entirely. Its body was slick and dark, covered in some kind of mucus-like substance that glistened in the light. I recoiled at the sight of it. It had no eyes, only rows of slits running along its sides that pulsed as if breathing. The mouth was circular, rimmed with sharp, needle-like teeth that opened and closed slowly, almost mechanically. "What in the world?" I breathed, feeling an involuntary shudder. Tom peered over the side, his face paling. I have no idea." The creature seemed half dead, its body limp as it dangled from my line, but something about it felt profoundly wrong. I could sense a slow, rhythmic pulsing from it, as if it were connected to something deeper, something far below us. "We should let it go," I said, a sick feeling churning in my stomach. But before I could release the line, the creature convulsed, twisting violently. The line snapped, and the thing slipped back into the water with an unnatural grace, disappearing into the darkness below. Tom and I exchanged a glance, and for the first time since we set out, I felt a genuine pang of fear. "What the hell was that?" Tom muttered, but I had no answers. We sat in silence for a while, both of us shaken. The ocean, once a playground, had turned sinister, its depths hiding things we could only imagine. As we debated heading back, a low throbbing hum began to vibrate the hull of the boat. "Do you feel that?" I asked, gripping the side of the boat as the vibrations grew stronger. Tom nodded, his face pale. "It's coming from below us." The hum became louder, reverberating through the water and into our bones. I leaned over the side of the boat, peering down, but the water was too dark, revealing nothing. Yet I could feel something down there, something immense, something watching us. "We need to leave," I said, trying to keep the panic out of my voice. Tom didn't argue. He turned the key in the ignition, but the engine sputtered, refusing to start. He cursed, trying again and again, but the hum only grew louder, as if mocking our attempts to escape. Then, without warning, something struck the bottom of the boat. The impact was so powerful that I was thrown to the deck, clutching the railing to steady myself. Tom's eyes were wide with terror as he stared at the water. "I don't see anything," he shouted, but the fear in his voice betrayed him. The boat rocked again, another impact, even harder this time. I glanced over the side and felt my heart seize. The black water was moving, swirling in an unnatural pattern, as if something massive were circling us. "We need to get out of here now," I shouted. Tom was still fumbling with the engine when we heard a new sound, a low keening wail that seemed to rise from the depths. It wasn't human, and yet it had an agonizing quality, a sound of pure, primal despair that chilled me to my core. Then I saw it. Emerging from the water was a shape, vast and shadowy, far larger than any creature I could comprehend. It rose slowly, almost as if savoring the moment. My mind struggled to make sense of what I was seeing. It was an amalgamation of flesh and darkness, a thing that seemed to shift and writhe, impossible to look at directly. The thing had no face, no eyes, but I felt it looking at me. I felt its gaze, heavy and ancient, pressing down on me like the weight of the ocean itself. "Tom." My voice was barely a whisper, but he was frozen, staring at the creature as if hypnotized. The thing's tendrils, long, sinewy appendages, reached out, brushing against the hull of the boat, wrapping around it with a gentleness that was somehow more terrifying than any violent attack. The boat creaked under the pressure, and I could feel the water beginning to drag us down. I grabbed Tom, shaking him out of his trance. "We need to jump." He nodded numbly, and without another word, we leapt into the water, abandoning the boat to the creature's grasp. The ocean was cold, shockingly cold, but adrenaline drove me to swim, pulling Tom with me as we watched the boat sink slowly into the water, disappearing beneath the surface along with the thing that had claimed it. We were left treading water, miles from shore, with nothing but the dark sea around us. I glanced at Tom, and I saw the same terror in his eyes that I felt coursing through my veins. For hours we drifted, watching as the creature lingered beneath the waves, circling us, keeping us in its silent watch. We floated in a state of pure dread, knowing that it was only a matter of time before it tired of its game. Eventually, just as dawn began to break, we saw a speck on the horizon, a rescue boat heading towards us. We waved, screaming for help, as the creature slipped back into the depths, leaving us with only the faintest memory of its form and that bone-chilling hum. We never spoke of it again, Tom and I, but every time I close my eyes, I see that dark shape, feel its presence lurking beneath the waves, and I know that somewhere in the depths of the ocean, it's still waiting.